And we are recording.
Okay. So, when last we left off, the Color Coalition, after exploring the mysterious green portal in their mansion's basement, found themselves transported to a mystical isle, seemingly floating in the middle of an astral sea between the planes of existence. Investigating the lights being emitted from a windless windmill, the party managed to learn surroundings and actually found a rough map of this mystical island, as well as the island's name, the Isle of Cosmos. Into the island following the instructions on the map, the party encountered a group of black treants who guarded a mysterious shaped fruit before directing the party to seek out the Dreamcatcher clan in the Temple of Time to the northeast. Saying their lack of hostility to the sentries there, they were brought before the apparent leader of this clan, a man named Kalash Mok. After a bit of a brief introduction there, Mok informed you guys that the only way for you to learn and earn knowledge of the Isle and its people was to earn the trust of the Dreamcatcher clan. Deciding against raiding the Gildergrove for Starfruit and taking the easy way there, the party elected to hunt some kind of creature that had been preying on the hunters of the Dreamcatchers. Tracks laid by the beast, you guys found yourselves ambushed and attacked by what seemed to be some kind of mutated Hydra, with the ability to blind its enemies and camouflage itself to attack again from a different position. A long, bloody battle ensued, with several party members sustaining some pretty serious wounds and being knocked out in the process, before finally with fiery blows. After managing to secure one of the Hydra heads as proof of the kill, the party began to make its way back to the Temple of Time, even having a bit of a conversation on their way back. Left off with Felon and Ari having just completed the chat that was held in the RP channel. Color Coalition, as you guys are walking back to the Temple of Time, what would you like to do?
I mean, Ari's probably going to be pretty quiet.
Felon's definitely quiet after the last few things that happened, so.
Oh, that was awkward. Yeah.
Oh, you were listening?
Here and there, a bit. Well, you know me, I don't like to, intervene in, like, personal matters. It's polite, I've been told.
She just shrugs.
So, we're gonna take the Hydra here to the temple, right?
I
wait,
believe that was the plan.
Yes.
That thing could take a beat.
Yeah, it could.
Ugly bastard. Corey, have we had like a long rest, or are we like still?
You have not yet. No, you guys elected to make it back to the temple for your long rest.
Okay. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And you guys are camping down. It's like 3 in the afternoon at this point.
Yeah, we can make it back.
Okay. All right. You guys make camp then, finding a bit of a secluded little area, or roughly secluded, a bit away from the tracks that you had followed to get where you were, just to make sure that nothing following after this beast or searching for it, it. Guys, are you guys setting up a watch?
Yeah, I'll take first.
Take second.
I take third.
Okay. Ari, you said you're going first, so go ahead and
I'm assuming I'm just rolling a perception check.
yeah, did it not go through? Damn it.
Nope.
Perception check. 26. As you kind of just keep your eyes out, it's not hard given that it's still daylight out. This is usually a time when you're used to, walking around out and about, so it's pretty easy to just keep your eyes open for anything. Activity around here. You still hear what sounds like birds and little critters off in the distance, and just sense of the nature in this area, and keeping in mind the Hydra that you just fought and how different it is from Hydras that you've heard about back on the material plane, you're starting to put together that whatever kind of life that developed on this plane or was transported to this isle isn't natural in the sense that you're used to. There's probably going to be multiple variations of creatures, different kinds of mutations, things like that. A couple little birds that fly over to a nearby tree, and as you kind of glance up at them, you notice small, like horn-looking protrusions from the base of their skull, almost like a goat bird.
Mm.
Just like it would like a finch or a robin or anything like that. It just looks really weird and unnatural compared to what you're used to back in the material plane. Cement the idea that some like kind of ecosystem that you guys will have, if you're going to spend any time here, will have to adapt to and get used to and learn the rules of.
All right.
We're very well aware of, the laws of nature. It's adapt and survive. So could be a good case of that for you guys as well.
All right.
Okay.
At the end of your watch, though, nothing seems to happen. You end up waking Forno. By this point, it's about dusk. Sunlight's starting to fail. Do you guys have a fire?
Felon would probably find a
Um,
small one.
Is it cold?
I mean, it's temperate. It's a little colder now that night is starting to fall, but it's not uncomfortably so. You, especially in your smoldering armor and your hardy northern constitution, you're never really cold to begin with. Those of you who are not Goliaths in warm-ish armor don't really feel like that chilled. Maybe like light blanket weather.
Okay.
all right. Yes. It
But
would,
for me,
small fire would probably get.
we may call the presence of other unpleasant things. Wait a minute.
I mean,
Besides, the talking trees, I don't think they would take kindly for us to kindle their friends.
I don't think all the trees talk.
Hello? Talking trees?
Fucking trees? What?
Go ahead and roll an insight check.
Me?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Forno. Don't roll an insight check. As you say this, you stop and listen. Seem like there's any talking trees around you.
Okay. No talking trees. Coast is clear. If you feel like...
And we all think that Forno is eating too much mushrooms.
I agree.
Hey,
Forno, stop smoking the grass.
Still enjoying
it's
the
not my fault. It's the smoldering of the armor, okay?
He's still
not
eating
like-
this weird paste that he found down in the caverns below Tal'Dorei.
It's not like I'm vaping all the time. It's just the way the armor works,
He's
okay?
just, he found a toad and he's started to leaking.
He's drinking a
Babe?
really bad flask of Soylent Green.
Maeve, no bar tongue.
But so electing not to have a fire then, which it doesn't matter since you have dark vision anyway right now. So go ahead and roll a perception check.
Everyone in this party has.
Laud does not have dark vision,
I don't.
and you have it through not natural means. So
Hey, let's not go to technicalities here.
all right, go ahead and roll
I
perception
just
though.
happen to have it. Which was granted to me as a boon. Of sort. Or more like something that could have gone really bad to something not that bad.
Go ahead and roll perception though.
Everyone?
Oh, just you. You're on watch.
Oh, right. That's the second watch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
23. With no fire, there is a little bit of a light breeze now through here. you don't seem to notice it really at all. Darkness continues to encroach. It gets quieter. The noises of the woods that you guys were listening to earlier, the different kinds of birds and critters and everything like that, kind of dies down. There's still a little bit of it off in the distance, not nearly as loud as it had been earlier in the day. Not being as attuned to nature as some certain members of the party, you don't really notice the wildlife and the differences or anything like that. You just kind of get a feel for it. It's especially weird for you. There's no real stars or constellations or anything like that that you've grown up with staring off into. And even when it was light out, there was no sun or anything like that. And now that it's dark out, you don't see any kind of, even though there's something akin to moonlight kind of illuminating open patches of ground around here, but there's no moon. It's still just that kind of weird experience of like, where the hell is this coming from and why is this happening?
Just like a render of the sky, not really a sky.
Yeah. You're essentially just walking around and it's like, oh look, moonlight, and then looking for the moon and be like, whoa. So, it's a bit of a surreal experience. Just, I don't know how this works. Huh?
It's all that grass.
Yeah, it's just like
It's all that Soylent, man. Goes to your head.
yeah.
But your watch comes and goes without any kind of issue or interruptions.
Now my watch has ended.
I was just thinking that. God damn it.
But now my watch has ended.
Uh-huh.
And just think, next Sunday, a whole bunch of watches are about to end.
Oh god, stop.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Anyway, back on topic. I had to make the joke. I had to.
No, I mean everyone is like on edge on that subject, dude.
I think I saw one summary on Twitter that probably put it best. So glad we got all that character development right before those characters die.
I know. I was like, no.
Like, oh, that made me laugh and feel bad.
If they killed Brienne, I would feel like so bad.
I really just want her and Tormund to get together right before they die. That's all I want. That was all I wanted in the last episode. I wanted Tormund to get his jollies, and he didn't.
He may be like a wildling, but he's a gentleman. He's gonna wait until Brienne.
Not what the giant said.
Ah, Tormund is love. I love.
Yeah, and did you see the GIF that I put on Facebook?
Yeah, Taylor can attest. I immediately was like, fucking Tormund. His priorities are on point, though.
I love him so much.
Is the tall woman still here?
Yeah. Oh, I just survived being killed like 3 times. Don't worry about it. Is she here? I need to know. Like, that. All right, fair enough.
Get it, Tormund.
By the way, the actor that they got to portray Tormund, just like out of the book, right away. It's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, back on task.
Third watch, I think that's Lats.
Third watch, Lod, as you are woken. It's a bit around midnight, somewhere around there. Go ahead and make your perception check for your watch at disadvantage because there's no light. See by, and you do not have dark vision.
I would actually probably help on the third watch.
If you want to. Okay, so
just because I know it's dark and she doesn't have dark vision, so.
Felon stays awake to assist you, so we'll take the 23 since it was your first roll. Staying up, keeping an eye out for things like that. Felon, you realize the same conclusions that Ari kind of came to, that life on this island seems to have taken a different evolutionary turn than life that you're used to. Something happened in the evolutionary process, or even maybe in some kind of mutational process. Doing like a perimeter little glance, you go through and you check a couple different plants that you think you recognize, and you come to find that they're a lot different than their counterparts back in the material plane. So it's keeping with the same theme that Ari kind of went over a little bit, or at least discovered, that whatever kind of life is on this island is completely different than what you guys are aware of. So you might have an understanding or knowledge of like the basics of this. You're definitely changed everything. So you'll have to do a little bit of learning in order to be more familiar with creatures and plant life and just the ecology in general of this island.
Um, do I see anything like night fauna?
There's a few different flowers that do bloom up high in the trees. If you want to try and climb one to take a look, you can take a look.
Yes, please.
Acrobatics check.
All right. Normal, right?
Yep, normal roll. 19. Pretty deftly, you managed to climb up a tree. And taking a look at some of the flowers up there, you managed to find a bough of tree that has what looks like just a bloom of these almost opalescent and glowing bluish white flowers. Trying to get a little close, you get a little bit close just to take a look at them. They do seem to all be almost like pulsing with weird light.
Okay. Can I smell it? What happened if I smell it?
Okay, you get close to smell it. I need you to roll a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, I'm gonna be as high as Fornoa. High as a kite.
As you get close, you feel this little just puff of pollen and you inhale it instinctively, knowing you probably shouldn't. You kind of feel your head grows foggy just a little bit. Immediately, you start sneezing like a madman. Just 5, 6.
Not too.
Felon, you're kind of impressed because it counts up to 7. She sneezes 7 times.
Wow.
Not too far from what I actually do in real life.
There
Yeah,
you
so
go.
does
Because
that.
I actually sneeze like 20 times in a row, so I know what it's like.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I have
It
sneezed.
is.
So glad I cap at 3.
No, I don't. When I am allergic because of my cat stressing out,
Oh yeah.
I just don't stop sneezing until I just take some medicine. Or I have to take off my clothes, get into the bathroom, take a shower, and then I will start to get normal. But it's about 15, 20 sneezes at a time, and I end up with the best abs you can find.
Goddamn, 35, Joe. That's
Yeah,
wow.
I have cat allergies.
Ajajaj.
At least I believe I have cat allergies, and we have cats in the house. I didn't have them for the longest time, but in the last few years, they've gotten worse and worse. So I try and stay away from the cats, and they normally roam around downstairs. But anytime I'm downstairs and I sit down and talk with my sister or my mom, and it just the dander gets in my nose, and the following day I start sneezing, and no matter what medication or no matter a shower, I cannot stop sneezing that entire day. I'm just like always sneezing. Like the worst one in a row was about 35 sneezes, which is insane.
Oh my god.
It's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, that's of that.
Do I have any other effect from the?
No, managing to you shake off the effect that you do watch as the flower that spit the pollen at you does close up though, and the glowing blue-white light from it dims considerably.
What do you mean with dims? Vanishes?
It is it is not as the flower itself kind of closes up a little bit, and the light, whereas the light was noticeable earlier, it is much less so now. It's not very bright light pulsing in this flower now.
There are more flowers there.
Farther along the bow, yeah.
I want to start to farming them, like very carefully, without breaking them. Just farming.
I'm gonna say go ahead and make a nature check at disadvantage. Partially because you're up in a tree trying to balance the entire time, and also partially because you're also trying to avoid it coughing pollen at you again.
Oh dear.
Ah, damn, the rolls are in your favor tonight, everyone.
Oh, please
I
don't
haven't
say
rolled yet.
that. Please,
Just wait.
please don't.
I said it.
Just get
That's
to
It'll
why.
ruin
time.
it for tomorrow too.
I,
Oh, he jinxed it on purpose.
mhm,
Jinxed
I need
it
to.
on purpose.
Oh yeah, I'm bringing the balance back to this.
No.
So
balance was like the
managing
10 ones that we rolled the other night.
with a surprising amount of dexterity, Felon, you kind of watch as she just very deftly walks out onto the very edge of this tree branch that she's on, pulls out a pair of gardening shears, and just very quickly manages to snip four of these glowing flowers.
Ooh.
You do watch, Laud, as you snip the flowers to harvest them. The flower itself, the flowers stay open. The light on it does grow a little darker, but not as much as when the flower completely closed earlier.
Okay.
So they're still fairly bright at this point, but not as bright as they used to be because they're dead. You killed them.
I'm gonna put them in some sort of. How big are they?
Each of the flowers is, I'm trying to think of a good. At full bloom, about 3-inch diameter.
Can you compare it with something?
Don't know conversions well in my head.
What's the size? I'm sorry.
Diameter.
3 inches. That's como 8 centímetros, mi amor. 8 centímetros.
Like a finger
Yeah.
long?
Ish.
Here, I'll show you what I did when I was trying to measure out how big it is. Put your finger, like index fingers together and your thumbs together.
Okay.
Smaller than that.
Okay.
So about that,
It's just that I
you have
want
3 of
to
them.
see if I can put them in a flask.
Like a drinking flask, or
No.
Vial.
A vial.
I don't know what size vials you have. You'd need a pretty big one for any of these.
Okay. Do I have any sort of bag?
You do have a bag with you.
Okay, so I'm gonna put them in the bag,
Okay.
like very
You-
gently, so they don't get
One of your smaller pockets on there, and try to tuck them in there so that they don't get damaged too badly in travel.
Do I see anything else, like birds, like owls or something like that?
With your perception, you kind of hear them off in the distance. You don't see any directly near you. It seems like most of them are trying to keep their distance a little bit.
Okay.
Wise.
Okay, I'm just gonna climb down the tree and get next to Felon.
Okay.
Like
Felon, you
within-
watch as, you watch as she comes back down from the tree after harvesting these flowers and just leans up against the tree right next to you.
Nice.
I just wanna see what kind of flowers are they. 'Cause I have never seen glowing flowers before.
Well, hopefully they're not dangerous.
I just sneezed.
Oh, I heard. All 7 of them.
With
Okay.
that, your watch comes to an end as the rest of your party wakes up feeling very refreshed. It's about 4 or 5 in the morning at this point. There's just very far off in the distance through all the heavy tree cover and everything, you can just barely make out like the faintest of orange light. Dawn is not here yet, but it's on its way. You guys are all awake now and able to travel. You now have completed your long rest.
Yay!
Yeah.
You're all rested. What would you like to do?
Keep going to the temple.
Yeah, dude. Do we know how close we are, ish?
You gather you're probably a couple hours away.
All right. Yeah, just head on out.
Gathering up the Hydra head, which by this point, since no one explicitly cast anything on it, is starting to smell pretty badly.
Wow,
And it is it's not in full decomp mode yet, but it's starting to get there, and it's just oof.
RTD's prestidigitation to make it smell a little better.
it helps.
Felon's carrying it, so
It
he
does not
thinks it-
complete.
Yeah. What's it called? Like that spell? The rest.
What?
The one that stops bodies from decomposing for a day.
Gentle repose.
Yeah, to repose. That's the one.
Are you wanting to cast that?
Let me see if I have it prepared.
I was going to say it has now been a long rest, so you could have it prepared, but
Oh, that's true.
I will allow you to retcon that, since no one had said anything about it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, why not?
I wanna take a look to my flowers to see how they look in the daytime.
Okay. Well, first we're going to get to Forno. So Forno, as you go to cast Gentle Repose, I need you to make a Wisdom check on this, simply because you're used to casting this on more humanoid creatures, and not a chunk of Hydra meat.
That's true. Just wisdom or wisdom save?
Just Wisdom check,
Check.
just to see
check.
how effective the
Wisdom
spell is.
check.
Okay. It's a little rough in the casting and trying to get the proper having the spell take effect to prevent the certain aspects of decomposition that you're familiar with, but in essence, meat is meat is meat. So you're able to effectively stop decomposition further than it has already been. So the smell, however, still persists. There's no getting rid of that stench. If anyone's ever handled a
It's okay.
dead piece of animal,
Yeah, well,
it's
pretty much there.
No, I've handled plenty. It's horrible.
yeah, it's not pleasant.
Yeah,
smell.
it's second level. Oh, it's
So-
a ritual. I didn't even need to prepare it.
Oh, well, then fine. We'll retcon it for that then.
Yeah.
But do you have the materials for it?
What are the materials? A pinch of
Material.
salt and 1 copper piece placed on each of the corpse's eyes. Yeah, it has eyes. I have copper pieces.
Okay.
And a pinch of
I'll,
salt.
I'll allow it. But yeah, it stops decomposing.
10 days. Damn.
Yep, it stops decomposing further. So, Lod, as you open up the little pocket pouch thing at the flowers in the daylight, they don't appear to glow.
Okay.
And you kind of check and you end up closing the pocket for the most part and just kind of peeking in. You gather that they're only glowing when there's a lack of sunlight.
Okay.
More of just like a night, essentially they glow in the dark.
Okay.
They're nin roots.
Yes, except now they're dead nerd roots, so they're even softer and they don't make the noises loud.
Yeah, that sound is so telling.
It really is.
You're just like walking and then.
Well,
like,
the glow is a lot softer now that dawn is approaching. This is a time when the flowers would normally be shutting up for the day to just kind of sit throughout it. So, I mean, they're still flowers, though. It's not as bright. But with that, anything else before you guys head out?
Nope.
Nope.
Well, I think.
No, no, nothing.
Nope.
Like, do we notice something?
No, I'm just asking if you guys had anything else to do before you wanted to head out.
What did I forget?
It's a simple question. I'm not trying to do anything to you guys.
No, he's not like saying we forgot to do something. He's asking us if we just want to keep going.
It's like, what am I forgetting? What am I forgetting?
Yeah,
I'm not forgetting anything.
You're
It's,
not.
Did we
To,
want to
to
talk?
my knowledge, you're not forgetting. This is a simple is there anything you want to do before you go?
No.
Last
Well,
minute,
the
no.
thing is that-
Okay.
The thing is that it's always suspicious. You cannot
I can
blame-
understand that. But
I'm so glad you guys trust me so much. Okay.
It's more the question of did we
We love you,
have
but
breakfast
we
or
don't
have
trust
anything to say to each other
We
before we
love
head
you,
out?
but we don't trust.
Yeah. Do you if there's nothing else for you guys, then you will head out.
Correct.
Okay. You guys are heading out then.
While we are walking to the temple, I want to just look at all the flora and fauna that we, can see. Maybe animals. Everything like.
passing by, you're not really seeing any of the animals, as you guys are not making any kind of effort to stay quiet, and you have Forno with you. So, making your way through the forest, the animals are giving you guys quite a wide berth. You're hearing like the chirps and just faintest chirps of birds and maybe wildlife off in the distance, but you're not actively seeing any right now. Like the flora goes, keeping an eye out, you're recognizing, obviously there's grass and things like that. It's more just noticing the differences between what flora you're seeing around you and what you're used to back on the material plane. So, you're seeing kind of coniferous trees around here with just tinges of different colors on them in certain spots. You're seeing grass that doesn't seem to behave the way it normally would in the wind. Instead, it kind of shrinks a little bit. Just little things like that. It's just more just...
It's only the little things.
Yeah, it's essentially just, oh, look, that looks familiar. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't. A lot of that sense.
Okay.
This place is so weird.
I find it refreshing. In a way.
Refreshing.
Yeah. I mean, didn't you become adventurous to explore the unknown? This is as unknown as there is.
I'd rather at least know something about the unknown.
Then it's not
Like-
the unknown, it's a little known.
Is that a gnome joke?
Felon just starts chuckling.
Journey into the unknown.
Episode title.
Okay.
That honestly might be it.
The unknown. Oh man. That's gonna stop being the material plane.
But continuing on though, unless there's any other conversations you guys are wanting to have,
No.
Mm-mm.
after about 2.5-ish hours, it's a little hard to gauge time because there's no sun again. By this point, it is light out. It has faded from dawn into just a very early morning, bluish sky, but not quite. It's like more like an off blue, like teal color to the sky, but it's bright enough to see by as if it were early morning in the material plane, just no sun. You guys once again find yourselves met with two more of the humanoid peoples popping down from the trees with bows armed. As they look at you, they seem to recognize, oh, just relax again. They look at the giant hydra head that Felon's holding and it just goes,
Yep.
They go, what?
He sort of did it. Oh. Can stop worrying. And
wait here a moment. I think Jal is going to want to see this. One of them just kind of walks off behind one of the trees. You don't see him coming back for another 5 minutes.
Okay.
You guys wait another 5-ish minutes, and you eventually see another humanoid figure coming by from off in the direction where the temple would be. This figure clad in kind of this almost blue and turquoise colored scale armor. It's more like a breastplate than full set of armor. Light leather pauldrons painted the same color, carrying what looks like this massive two-handed greatsword across his back. In addition, having a ornamented bow slung across his back as well, and a set of quiver of arrows at his hip. As he kind of comes up, you're able to notice he is completely bald, but he does have one eye missing, and it is covered over with kind of turquoise eye patch.
I like his style.
As he kind of comes up to you guys, he just takes a look. You guys had a busy day.
You could say that.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie,
So-
when you guys didn't come back yesterday, I figured you died.
A couple
Yeah.
of us got pretty close.
Yeah. We usually don't die.
Usually.
Well, now I owe people money, so thanks for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's so sweet. You were expecting so much from us.
Well, we don't exactly have a good reputation with outsiders.
I can
That you
kind
have
of
to
tell.
bet on
Well,
other people's
the only
lives.
outsider we've ever really had is Rick, and let's be honest, he wasn't. Anyway,
Era mi
It was
sitio.
pretty cool to me.
well, stands up straighter a little bit. My name is Kora Jal Moxa, and I am the captain of the Korolasa here. Taking you guys back up to the Temple of Time, and he just kind of looks at the severed, not further decomposing Hydra head into that head.
Yeah, I mean, be nice to have it like not being exactly here.
Sorry, I forgot we had a chat for that.
Okay.
There we go. Anyway, if you would care to follow me, he just kind of turns around, doesn't seem to actually notice if you guys follow him or not.
Yeah, I follow.
Following him back, it's another 5-10 minute walk up to the Temple of Time itself. Noticing it's early enough that there's a few people that are out and starting their chores around the area, tending to what look to be a few gardens, a few people gathering firewood and just general supplies. A few of the warriors are out, seem to be stringing their bows, sharpening some of their weapons and polishing their kind of equipment. As you guys start approaching the temple and the kind of surrounding settlements and domiciles, everyone just kind of looks like, oh, look, the outsiders are back. And then they see the giant Hydra head that you're dragging, and they're like, oh. Huh.
Oh. Okay, so
Kind
they're
of visible look on their face of like, okay, that happened.
but they're not impressed. They're just like
They seem. You're watching on their faces a little bit as there was a little bit of the disgust, like, oh great, you guys are back, and it's slowly changing into more of like shock, like, huh, they did something useful.
oh, okay.
Maybe not like in awe or like respect of you guys yet, but they're at least acknowledging you guys did something kind of important.
Bless you.
Salud.
There's one. Oh, is that it? That it? Okay. But yeah, it's just kind of a weird feeling, like looking and seeing these people that are like, ugh, and now they're going, huh. Just quiet contemplation of, I guess they did do that. Almost like they didn't expect you to survive that.
Ari's just gonna give whatever one she sees like a thumbs up as she goes by.
No one responds.
Cool.
In fact, at one point, a
She'll
kid just
keep
kind
it
of
up,
turned his
though.
head to the side like a confused puppy. Kind of chides him and says something in a language you don't understand.
I'm not gonna spend the only charge of a comprehend language that I have.
You're going to use it right now?
No.
Okay. But you eventually make your way into the entry area. This is a different side of the Temple of Time than you've seen. This is a more where you guys had entered previously. It seemed more like a market area that had barracks installed in it. This area seems directly involved with whatever kind of military forces here at the temple. On one side of this hall that you're entering, it is just nothing but military barracks. A few soldiers still sleeping. A few seem to be just kind of relaxing and hanging out with each other. Others seem to be getting ready for maybe some kind of shift or anything like that. Excuse me. The other half of it seems more devoted to the supply part of a military, getting foodstuffs ready, getting equipment polished and taken care of, and things like that. You see what looks to be possibly some kind of armory. It's just a giant stack of weapons and racks of weapons over there. None of them seemingly jumping out at your eye, because I know you're probably about to ask Forno. Nothing jumping out at you as very well made. It just seems all like standard military stock.
You know me well.
Yeah, just it all seems like you spent a lot of time with the army here recently, so you're pretty familiar with just, we need swords, make them swords.
Yeah, but they're not like producing them for wars, just like normal, send like 1 or 2 swords. Just
I
to
mean, it's a
replace.
pretty decent amount of swords, and in looking around and getting a sense of the numbers that you've at least seen, there's to keep, or there's more swords to soldiers at this point.
Hmm.
As you're kind of looking over, it's quite the surplus of just basic weaponry, and in fact, you can actually hear the ring of a hammer off in the distance, as what looks like a couple of kind of teenage-looking humanoids seem to be working on just a set of basic plate mail.
Are they doing it wrong?
Go ahead and make a perception check.
I thought I should make like a smithing check.
No, this will be just perception for you to notice it.
Oop. Yeah. Here we go.
It is the best stuff you've ever seen. Their technique is flawless.
They are amazing.
I'm kidding. No, it's kind of hard to see from over here. They seem to be quenching a lot. So their whole kind of area is just filled with the light smoke from the forge and the steam that they're generating while working. And it's not just them working. There's a couple of other people around the same age seem to help. It's not really like there's one head smith and a bunch of apprentices. It looks like just apprentices. So it's a little hard to tell from this distance with all the activity going on what their technique really looks like. But judging from the stacks of armor and weapons you're seeing, none of it's like poorly forged or anything. It's just, standard stock. Nothing fancy. Something that can do the job it was meant to do, and that's it.
Okay.
But as you continue walking in, and eventually Jal kind of turns around and he goes, so I guess I'll take that. And he just kind of points over, and Lee is like, go ahead and hand it over. Okay, he picks it up, and little pieces of like sludge drop down, and he's like, "Oh God." Okay.
Don't worry, it will
Kalashmak
rot
is.
for the next 10 days.
It still smells. It was already decomposing and starting to fall apart a little bit, so it's just not getting worse.
Yeah.
Oh, before he takes it, Ari's totally taken a tooth and maybe a scale if they're not decomposed.
I'm gonna go ahead and retcon and say that you took them prior to the decomposition.
Neat.
So.
Sounds good.
You have your scale and your tooth.
Sweet.
Because by this point, if you were to have taken them right now, the tooth maybe would be fine. The scale, no.
Yes.
But yeah, he takes the head and ends up putting it over in this empty crate over by the side of the barracks. Just waiting for you up the stairs of the tower.
Okay.
Go. One Hydra head, as promised.
Go tell him that. He just kind of points over towards the stairs.
Will do. She turns and
Boom, 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 boom.
Okay. Once again, it is a very long trek up the stairs. Seemingly just stretched out for an eternity as it was the last time. But still glancing out the windows every once in a while and noticing that you guys are getting pretty high up into the air, even though the tower out from the outside doesn't look like it's that tall. Actually, coming to the apex of the tower into the kind of chamber-like room and study that you had previously encountered, the short gray-haired man of Kalashmak. Once again, like he was last time, he is turned away from you guys, seated on the ground with his legs crossed, his hands out in kind of an open gesture. Just to make sure that's clear. Facing away from you guys, so his back's to you. You see a couple of little pieces of what could equate to be incense, but it's just it looks like little just piles of smoke off in the corners in front of him. And as you guys enter the chamber, he finally says, "So, I heard you managed to find yourselves a beast out there."
More like it found us, but yeah.
What exactly was it?
Hydra.
Oh,
They could,
What we would
could-
know is a Hydra.
That
You
is an
could-
interesting turn to phrase that. Why would you phrase it like that?
Things are different back home.
Yeah.
That's all.
Are they? In what
Hmm.
way?
Well, for one, our birds don't have horns.
And the flowers don't glow.
Fair
And the
point.
hydras. I don't know
Hydras
about
don't
the
have
hydras.
camouflage.
Usually they can't just
Fair point.
disappear.
Learned the first rule of the Isle of Cosmos. Nothing is ever as it seems.
Mm.
Here,
Dude.
thousands of years ago, from the life that you would equate on your plane. Special and home to this plane alone. I'm glad you survived.
We're glad we survived that too.
But, as promised, I told you I would share knowledge of this isle and my people and answer questions that you had. So I suppose it is time for me to do that. And he pushes up, you guys, and he has a smile across his face. And you notice, as you hear the next part in your head, he doesn't speak, but you all hear in your heads, "My name is Kalash Mok, leader of the Kalashtar people of the Dreamcatcher clan here in the Isle of Cosmos."
Hmm.
He was speaking, and it kind of occurs to you then, it dins on you at that moment. He wasn't actually talking to you guys. He was speaking to all of you via telepathy at the same time.
Okay.
It's a
And
neat
still
trick.
is.
Trying to think. Hello.
Hello, you hear
Oh.
in your head. In his using his mouth and words, he says, "I'm sure that probably confused a few of you. My people are all born with the gift of mental communication. We can communicate via, so long as we have met someone at quite a bit of distance. I can in fact communicate with anyone. The Temple of Time, while up here.
So you could hear our thoughts when we were fighting.
I could not hear your. It's not. It's not like hearing your thoughts. It is not. Trying to think of a good word here. It is not mind reading or anything like that. It is more akin to establishing communication. It'd be akin to me walking up to you, as I am now, and he walks up to you, and saying hello, hi, and we exchange information like this. Except I do it with my mind. All of us do, in fact.
Corey, can I recall that about Morn?
You cut out there. Can you recall that about what?
About our Morn friend?
Still cutting out.
God damn it, why?
About
She recall
Morn.
that about her Morn friend.
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead and roll an intelligence check. Actually, no, roll an insight. This is going to be an insight check.
Alright.
Not many of those.
She's still good at it.
You don't explicitly remember him ever doing that.
Okay.
Times to have knowledge that he probably shouldn't have and was able to communicate things faster than most people. Direct mental communication with you, you're not aware of that.
Okay. Carry on.
Is she cutting out for everyone else?
Not for me.
Nope.
Maybe log out and back in, see if that fixes it.
Her
I'll
or
do
me?
too.
Both of you, just in case.
Maybe?
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, that's good. I can hear everybody still.
Yay.
Okay, and you didn't cut out through that entire conversation there, so
So
Good sign.
hopefully. Alright.
Follows, fails,
still doing it a little bit.
bit.
Not as bad, so hopefully it stays at that level.
Hopefully.
But yeah, like I said, you don't seem to recall any explicit instances of him doing that.
Alright. Carry
Is there
on.
a way to learn how to do that? Because that would be very useful.
It has been done before. Obviously this is a trait inherent to our people, but it is something that we could potentially bestow to others through means. A short answer to your question is yes, it is possible.
Then we would have to kill another big thingy like this.
Not something like this, but there would be materials to acquire for that. Much of our higher magics and more advanced abilities have been lost to us, but certain rituals, have the capabilities to perform with the right material.
Hmm.
As I said, my name is Mok, the Kalash of the Kalashtar people, also known as the Spirit people. What would you like to know of us and this isle?
Okay.
Where are we? For the first question.
Excellent question. So, long ago, there was a bit of a, well, we'll get into that history later, but the short answer to that question is you are in a small pocket dimension that is both a part of and separate from the material plane and the astral sea at the same time. He just kind of looks around at you guys.
A
None of
physical
your
and metaphysical island.
Something like this, yes. We both exist and do not exist simultaneously. The island itself is a paradox.
Okay, we are in the Schrodinger place.
Something like that, yes. I do not know who this Schrodinger is, but somehow I also do.
That was Evie, not Lad.
It's essentially, yes, we are both a part of both the astral sea and the material plane, but at the same time, we exist on neither of those.
So that's what your spirit people. 'Cause you are.
That's it's related to that. The history is really long, and I'm sure you have more pressing questions than where my people originally came from. But suffice it to say, we're from the astral sea, and we came here.
So, did
Uh-huh.
Rick save you, or
No,
you're just here and then Rick just opened?
we have existed. It's hard to tell how long. For us, it feels like thousands of years that we've been on this island. But we know that both being a part of a plane and not part of a plane at the same time means time doesn't exactly work in between us and the material plane. So what has been thousands of years for our people, days, weeks, months, years, maybe centuries in your world.
Okay.
We were here long before Rick ever arrived, however.
Hmm.
He created us, and he did not like being told that he did not, in fact, create us.
I mean, he was not like this super nice guy, but did he help you, or did
No, he
he hurt you in any way?
He thought he created us and tried to rule over us as though he was a god. Appreciate that. So we essentially barred him from the island and exploring any of the mysteries it holds.
That's
Okay.
good.
That's relief.
He didn't take it well. He never came back, thankfully. By your apparent arrival, he never closed the method of transportation he used, so that's good to know. Oh, next question.
What's the
Okay.
deal with this fruit?
Starfruit.
Yeah.
It is... well, as you would have already noticed, much of the nature of this island is different than anything you will find on any of the other planes.
Yeah.
He started as, well, my ancestors attempt to grow a natural fruit for medicinal and of health purposes on this island.
That sounds good.
Or, eat a fruit, feel better, things like that. It didn't exactly work, however. We're knowledge once, but we kind of lost it, so we're not entirely sure how. but whatever natural field that affects the isle changes how plants develop and grow and evolve. And it essentially mutated it into what you now see as a star fruit. It
Okay.
is very sweet tasting and very delicious, but it has effects on most more humanoid biologies. Kind of blend. It allows you to sense and see the lines where the planes overlap here in the Isle. It's a bit of an. We call it ascendance. Essentially, you're seeing things that shouldn't exist or do not exist in another form of reality here in the Isle.
Hmm.
That works for either.
I wonder how that would work can work as my good berry.
I do not know what this good berry is.
I will take one of my good berries and I will show you.
He just kind of holds his hand up. May I?
Sure. You can
They're
eat
really
it if you want.
Looks
They're
at it,
really good.
kind of pokes it, sniffs it, eats it. That is a good berry. Fruit
It
is.
is a good berry. I wonder what will
But,
happen if I combine one star fruit with these good berries.
As a druid, you know that your good berries aren't an actual plant. They're a manifestation of magical energy used to sustain people.
Yeah, but I mean, I
It's not
can.
it's not a plant, so you can't like
No,
crossbreed them.
no. What I was thinking is use it as a component material to my spell of good berries.
Oh, it's a good star fruit, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That would make it more powerful.
Well, I guess you'll have to find a way to get your hands on some starfruit to try that. yeah, yeah. Have fun with that. But he still just kind of looks. But essentially, yeah, the fruit is used in several of our ancient rituals that we previously, for different kinds of rites and activities we needed. As we lost more of those to time, the fruit became more about just an ancestral tradition of trying to attain the fruit. Most of our dream catchers, they reach the age of maturity, we actually task them with obtaining one of the fruits, either through some kind of commerce or deal with the treants of the Gilder Grove, who also are mutations, by the way. We had our
Yeah, no
people
shit.
planted several black oaks in the area to try and, when they tried to plant the trees for the starfruit, and they ended up mutating as well.
But I mean,
Yeah, it's kind of a rite of passage to try and obtain one of the starfruits, and then once it's obtained, we have that person eat the entire starfruit and experience the ascendance. Once they have experienced it, they are an official member of the clan.
Wait. So ascendance is like a.
It's like God's fruit.
Ascendance is the state of mind after eating it.
Like when you lick a toad?
That when
wow.
I haven't licked any toads,
Should. It's fun.
but that sense of being able to see the lines between the planes, that's the ascendance I was talking about.
Hmm.
That sounds very nice.
Also,
So
for the
I
record,
guess
I wouldn't just go licking toad. Some of them will kill you.
Yes, I'm sure they probably would. Especially around here, there's actually quite a few dangerous toads up in the swamps.
And do you know how they will work in another plane, like our plane?
Having never been to another plane, I could not tell you. Much like most of my people the last several thousand years, I was born here, and I'm destined never to leave here.
You guys believe a lot in destiny, don't you?
Quite a bit. When you're the descendants of spirits bonded to a simple humanoid race, they are brought to a heightened state of evolution by the spirits. A lot in destiny.
Well, I mean, makes sense, but hasn't anyone like tried to challenge it?
Why would we? The Isle is safe. It's my people's last refuge after we were chased out of the Astral Sea.
Oh, I know about chasing and being like blasted from ancestral people. Like in our plane, my people, well, some of my people used to be very, very bad, and they wreak kind of a little bit of havoc in the good old Tal'Dorei. But now we're just like a secluded population in the area. I was just not going to stay there and watch us wither and die. No, that's not how civilizations happen. They just have to mutate. Yeah, you, like your fruits, you know.
Right.
Sorry, I'm getting philosophical here.
Well, our people are safe here on the Isle, and none of us want to leave the Isle. We just want to control the Isle, and we haven't done so the entirety of it anyway, in many centuries.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Ari has
Yeah.
the map, and she's gonna get out the map, and she's like,
Oh,
"These landmarks.
He's going to take a look at the map and see. I take it Rick drew this.
I mean, probably.
yeah, but I have no idea who wrote that. That is like, confusing as hell.
He just kind of holds his hand out. May I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You hand him over the map. He just kind of looks at it, crumples it up, and throws it over into his fireplace.
What the hell?
And he goes he goes through a couple different scrolls and hands you a more complete map. As opposed to the map you had previously seen. Now, if you're looking at the screen on Roll20, you're officially seeing like all of this. The map that you previously had just general. It didn't have any of the landmarks and features. It just had like scrawlings written where there's something might be. So seeing whatever all of this stuff is, other than just like basic drawings, and this is more like a professional cartographer's map.
Okay.
It marked boundaries between the different like eco zones. You're now clearly seeing that there's an entire mountain range just situated over in the southeast of the Isle. Farther there's a desert. Clearly defined markings for some kind of tower in the middle of that mountain range. Up to the northeast, you see what looks like drawn in swamplands and mire and brush and things like that, with some kind of tower jutting up from the middle of a lake. As you see what looks like clearly defined kind of Arctic zone with one lone mountain jutting up from it.
Okay.
Wow.
This, and he points to the map, this is the Isle, the true Isle of Cosmos.
All right.
Hey. It's a pretty cool place. Actually, that mountain in the snow reminds me a bit of home.
Well, I would honestly hope not. That Isle, or that mountain over there is, if I can find that is Black Mountain. Original arrival point of my people into the Isle of Cosmos. Mark of Coldstone Point.
Stone. What happens in Coldstone?
Well, up until 200 years ago, it was well held by our people and used as also another form of pilgrimage. We would often send budding members of our clan up to the top of Black Mountain to obtain one of the rocks up there and bring it back as proof that they were capable of weathering the challenges of Coldstone Point and the heights of the mountain itself. Until the darkness began encroaching on the island. Coldstone Point was one of the first places taken, and we have not held it since. It is currently... We don't know exactly what holds the mountain. Every force we've sent to either scout it out or never come back.
So you don't know what's there, but no one wants to go there?
Are you offering to help retake the Isle? You don't even know what you're going to be fighting yet.
Oh,
Taking any of the Isle means to us.
We're here to fix whatever is going on, so the lights that we saw when we first got here aren't there anymore.
If you truly mean to help in retaking this Isle, a bit more of our history. And
yes, please.
you'll need to know about the darkness and how it took the Dreaming Keep, our stronghold on this Isle.
Supposing the Dreaming Keep is the huge castle in...
Yes, yes it is. Justice. So I have an idea, if you'll bear with me. Tools that my people are capable of performing, similar to the mass communication via telepathy, is the sharing of old memories.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
As the Kalash of my people, I have certain knowledges and certain events stored away in my mind with those that are or require the information necessary from them. Take this ritual, I can in fact have you experience living history of the Kalashtar people.
I would like that.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. What do you say, lad?
Is it dangerous?
No, it is not that dangerous. It does require elements of one's person. For each of you, I will need one item. Not doesn't have to be an expensive item or anything like that, but something that of you, if that makes
I'm
sense.
sorry, you cut off.
Some kind of item or essence from all of you that is indicative of you, who you are as a person, personal to you, or when another one of you sees of one another, it identifies you like that. If it would be like if you ever saw like a pine cone and thought of one of your friends,
Yeah.
elicits
can...
the memory of you. I'm essentially taking your minds and melding them into one and then merging it with mine to give you this memory.
Do we lose that object?
Yes.
Because the one thing that identifies me, and I put in my shield, is my shield. Because it has my god and my oath on it. Oath to protect.
Are you gonna lose that?
Yeah, I don't want to lose it.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, no. It's my sacred thing.
It does not have to be like your most prized possession or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just something that is representative of you.
I gave him a good berry.
I can use that. I mean, he goes and he actually leads you guys back into the chamber a little bit more. In the center of the room, and he kind of just sweeps with his hand, and you watch as the floor kind of opens up to reveal almost like a bonfire pit in the center of his chamber. Not lit, but in the center where he would be piling kindling and things like that, he does set the good berry. What is the next offering?
I do have an idea. I'm gonna go ahead and create with my channel divinity. What's it called? The blessing of the forge, is it? Right?
Yep.
I'm going to make like a small statue of the old hammer.
I'm
Made out
assuming
of-
that is one of your gods.
That's my god. He's the one that protects me, that guides me, that makes me create. You see.
Interesting. He just kind of takes the figurine, puts it in the center, along with the good berry.
Ari's gonna fish her leather armor that she made out of her bag. Has my
I made it
family
out
on
of
it.
hand axe. I think.
What?
Yeah, I sacrificed a hand axe to
Oh.
make the statue. There you go.
Okay. All right. So Ari, you're offering up your handmade leather armor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he sets that in there as well. Then he looks over at Felon.
Felon will reach into his bag and pull out a little whittling knife that he has for when he was carving wood years ago. And he'll say, I used to use this when I was younger for working with wood. And it's what I knew, pretty much all I knew growing up.
He takes the
I
knife.
had a lot of wood too when I was younger.
God damn it.
Takes the
Phrasing.
knife, just kind of rested on
That
one
sounds
hand.
so inappropriate. My God.
Hey, you don't make wood jokes when you play Catan. Everyone.
Anyway.
But he takes the whittling knife from you and just kind of looks at it. Holds it on one finger, and you notice that it's perfectly balanced. Amongst the other items there. Something up. This ritual. I will need one of you, to run down and obtain something from my son, Jal. I have already sent word. He knows you're coming. But I will need you to pick up some viscera. What we would call, in your language, vision wine.
Hmm.
And for those that were so interested in them, it is actually distilled from the star fruit.
Oh,
Very expensive.
appreciate the expensive.
Go get it.
It is necessary for the ritual. So if one of you wishes to go meet with my son,
I'll go. She goes.
okay. You find that your walk down the stairs is a lot shorter than it has ever been. You'd gone up and down the stairs of this tower, it took forever. This time, way shorter. And it kind of gives you the sense that maybe someone was fucking with you at some point. But you make your way down towards the bottom of the stairs, not far from where you left him with the box of Hydra head, is the bald and turquoise-clad Jal, who you now know is the son of of Mach. Having Moxa in it, you kind of gather means son of Mach, but you start approaching, he notices you come, just hands the bottle over to you.
Thank you.
Not to drop it. It's very expensive.
I will do my best. And I go back up.
Okay, heading back up. Once again, a very short trip.
Cool.
Through everyone that stayed in the chamber, it seems like Ari has only gone like 30 seconds.
Yeah. That was quick.
Yeah, I'm just really fast.
Phrasing.
Doubtful.
You haven't seen me sprint. I'm fast.
In the time that you've been gone, he has set 4 small, what almost look like shot glasses in front of each of the spots where you guys are being indicated to sit. As you hand him the bottle of the viscera, he kind of pops the cork, takes a smell, pours into each of the shot glasses on there. Oh. We call it vision wine, viscera, because of the star fruit's initial properties to open up the mind to the ascendants. When it is distilled like this, it allows you to give to communication and the flood of memories and information necessary for a ritual of this magnitude. Wish to undertake it? Please take a drink of the viscera.
First.
I'll go first.
Okay. To you, it's a very like tangy taste on your mouth. There's a light alcoholic burn, but not very powerful. a very, very, very sweet wine to you.
All right.
Next.
I'll go.
Okay. You take a sip of it. Very light, almost like an ale taste to you. It kind of reminds you of the beers that you used to have back while your mom was working at taverns and everything, and you come in and see her, and you just order a pint of what's cheapest. It reminds you of that. It's not bad, but it's more just the comfort and relaxing taste of it.
Hmm.
Who's
All right.
next?
What?
What?
Who's
You
next
I
to
gonna
already
drink
drink
the
was
the wine?
wine?
eating.
It's okay, babe. You gonna drink the wine?
Yeah.
Okay. Laud, as you take your drink of Vistra, it tastes good. There's a bit of a salty aftertaste to it, but still managing to be sweet. It kind of reminds you of the drinks that your people made back on Vestra.
Okay.
The kind of specialty liquors that the people of the Water Ashari would make and drink on celebratory days and feast days. So it's just kind of that taste of comfort and home.
Yeah. Everyone make a good face.
Yeah, everyone seems to be enjoying their drink.
Well, Hammer, let's just drink. Charlie.
Okay. There's a bit of a sweet taste at the beginning, and the rest of it's kind of a smoky aftertaste, like a very deep scotch.
Mm.
Not in a bad way. It actually kind of reminds you of whenever
Mhm.
you have spirits handy while working the forges, and you just manage just a quick break, take a drink of that. Not sure if it's ever the smokiness of the liquor or the smokiness that's just in your mouth from the forge, but it kind of
Briny. Alive.
it
Okay.
brings it back. It brings it back, and it's a pretty comfort. You all thoroughly manage to enjoy this taste of it. It kind of brings back the elicits comfort from you. It's a comfort drink. Now, you all kind of sit there, setting the glass in front of you. All of you're not drunk by any means, but you feel a little just this heightened sense. It's almost like being really buzzed. Just in general, you're like, whoa, this feeling. Whoa.
Whoa.
Thank you. And now
Mock,
it's like that 70s show scene when everyone's.
not quite yet. Mock sits in front of you, and he phrase and what appears to be him drawing an arcane glyph into the air. You watch as the fire pit in the center of this, with your 4 items arranged around it, suddenly begins to glow almost this white purplish color. Fire each lance to the 4 items that you've laid there. Beak. The final component of this ritual requires you to share knowledge of yourself. Knowledge of yourself that you value or you find necessary to keep to yourself. I will not require you to speak it out loud unless you wish. This component of the spell to be taken into account. You must, before melding your mind with me, I need to know what your greatest fears are. So, I'm now out of character. For this, you will need to either out loud say what your character's greatest fear is, or you can direct message it to me if you do not want anyone else knowing it.
Right.
If that makes sense. Everyone good with that?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guillermo, are you going to say it out loud, or are you going to message
Yeah.
it to me?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say it.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
It's pretty obvious.
Are you going to say it or message it?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. It's good. Like, it's a pretty obvious one.
Ivy, how about you?
I'm gonna say it too.
Okay. Ari, are you going to say it or message it? She's muted. Okay, she's messaging. Message or say out loud?
I will say it out loud.
Okay. Well, we will start with Forno then. Forno, as Mock prompts you, and he opens the mental connection, but you subtly reject it so that you can say it out loud.
Yeah. I'm afraid I will never get to see my family again.
Very well. It's over to you, Lod.
um, my biggest fear is failure.
Hmm?
Failure to fail my family and the quest I have to accomplish for them.
Armente.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm guessing Ari's just writing down.
She's
Yeah.
she's having
Yeah,
an
she's-
issue with her headset.
I think I'm good now.
Oh,
Yeah, there she is.
welcome back.
What I miss?
They
Everyone.
were going through their fears. You just missed all of that.
Great.
Let's see if we're recording.
But you,
I'll go watch
since
it
you're
again.
since you're messaging, go ahead and
Bless you.
type up your message.
Alright.
But Felon, he looks to you now.
Having Fennec find me before I find him, and him getting the better of me.
No.
And Ari, you do accept the mental connection and relate your fear. Kalashmak looks at you all. An important part of yourselves and your psyche with me. Yes. But now, for you to be bestowed with the knowledge of the past. Is out the ritual, the growing flame in the center of the pit suddenly changes from a reddish purple to a bright white light as you were all seemingly engulfed in this light. We're going to end for tonight because this next part is where I was going to mention that experiment. And this is actually going to be a bit of a length. It's either going to be a lengthy lore drop or it's going to be... Joe, you can go and shut the recording off.
Alrighty.